By Hyundai, time to pull up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's in the house. Brooklyn, New York, where Peter King, the authority on the NFL, Football Morning in America, longtime NFL scribe, the best in the business. Peter, thanks for joining us. Let's get right to it. Aaron Rodgers, according to Brett Favre, has been disrespected by the Green Bay Packers by their drafting of Jordan Love. He said in his conversation with Aaron Rodgers, he came away feeling that Aaron was disrespected and that Aaron feels disrespected. Peter, do you think drafting Jordan Love was disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think it was disrespectful, but I'm just not sure it was the best. Certainly wasn't the best decision for the 2020 Green Bay Packers with all those wide receivers on the board. But, Jason, you got to understand, Brian Gutekunst, the general manager, he is the one who made this call. This is not Matt LaFleur's call. This is Brian Gutekunst's call. And he was hired by Ron Wolf, who traded a first-round pick for a second-round quarterback in 1992, Brett Favre. And then he was also raised under Ted Thompson. And Ted Thompson drafted Aaron Rodgers in the first round when Brett Favre was 35 years old. So this is the general manager's pick. And in my opinion, the general manager in recent Green Bay history has very often shown whatever you'd call disrespect, lack of whatever, but or you might just say a good look into the future for the Green Bay Packers without much regard for Don Majkowski in 1992 or Brett Favre in 2005. Now, you can't put those guys in the same sentence, but I'm just saying that the general manager is making this decision for the long haul, not for the short haul.
I think they disrespected Aaron Rodgers in an effort to build the team and to look into the future. They didn't show respect to their face of the franchise. I'll give you a few examples. One, this same situation occurred in Philadelphia this year in the draft when they drafted Jalen Hurts. But they called Carson Wentz and discussed this and let him know this probably will occur during the draft. And that's Carson Wentz, not Aaron Rodgers. Carson Wentz was given the heads up. Then you get into a situation, the first response from the brass in Green Bay is we just got off a Zoom call with Jordan Love. And the greatest takeaway we have is how humble he is. Think about how that's a shot at Aaron Rodgers in terms of his humility. That's why we're so excited about Jordan Love. And then you're not giving him exactly what he needs right now to get from the NFC Championship game without enough weapons to the Super Bowl. So you're not really taking care of your immediate needs. All of that points to not respecting Aaron Rodgers, his age, his window and opportunity, and you're trying to build for the future, but not the present, and didn't go through the proper channels or at least a respectful way of letting your face of the franchise know.
That all sounds good on paper, Marcellus, but let's say they give Aaron Rodgers a head up. We may take Jordan Love a day before. Aaron Rodgers is going to leak that out. Let's say they call him draft night and tell him, hey, we think we may go up and get Jordan Love. That's a 2-hour conversation. That's like somebody telling me tonight when there's that last piece of fried chicken, you ain't getting it, Whitlock. Oh, that's a long conversation. We're going to have a wrestling match. Aaron Rodgers is difficult. I don't feel like they disrespected him. They just did business the way they have to do business as it relates to Aaron Rodgers. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and sometimes when you think you're smarter than everybody else, people avoid having difficult conversations with you. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's stay on Aaron Rodgers, Peter. Brett Favre also said that Aaron Rodgers feels like the odd man out in Green Bay after this Jordan Love trade. Peter, do you think this Aaron Rodgers situation in Green Bay ends in an ugly fashion if Aaron Rodgers feels like the odd man out?
Well, Jason, this reminds me quite a bit of New England in 2019 in that I think Bill Belichick just maybe one too many times said, hey, Tom, you and Josh McDaniels take care of the offense, and we'll see you in January. You know, and that's a way oversimplification. But the Green Bay Packers now, it is 6 consecutive years that they have not taken a receiver in the first 3 rounds of the draft and not bought a receiver in free agency, of any consequence. 6 consecutive years, essentially ignoring the wide receiver position. So to me, that's what this is about. This, if it ends ugly, it's going to end ugly at least to the same degree because of what the Packers have put around Aaron Rodgers, not because they just picked Jordan Love in the first round.
It doesn't have to end ugly, but it certainly will end. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is too smart. He's going to learn from the mistakes of others. And if you look at Brett Favre and how that relationship ended in Green Bay, I don't think Aaron wants to make the same mistake of ending that situation ugly. He's going to learn from Tom Brady in the situation just happened in New England and how Tom is taking the high road despite in back channels, Tom Brady discussing it with his owner, having an unpleasant phone call with Bill Belichick, but you keep everything above board when it comes to being public facing. So when you're mature in life, when you're older, when you took your lumps, you realize that, hey, I could just leave. I don't have to take my ball and go home and wish hell on every situation. I could just leave. 2 years from now, Aaron Rodgers will probably be out of Green Bay, but he doesn't have to make it messy.
I think it's going to be ugly. Again, Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that holds his tongue, not holds his opinion. He has a difficult relationship with some people in the media, but there will be people very sympathetic to him. And so I do think some shots will be fired. And when this ends, he's going to spell out to a Peter King, to someone, Ian Rappaport, somebody, how he felt betrayed in Green Bay. And the shots may not just go at Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur. They may stretch to Mike McCarthy and how we had opportunities to win multiple championships. I could have accomplished something similar to Tom Brady if we had had the right people around me. I think this thing's going to end ugly. Now, will the Packers try their best to stay on the high road? Yes. But that don't mean Aaron Rodgers is going to join them there. See, Marcellus, I think you're too good looking. When you're a guy like me, it never ends pretty. It never ends amicable.
It never ends well.
I'm always upset and bitter and taking pot shots at everybody. Right. So, yeah, I just think you're too good looking. All right, let's move on to Cam Newton, probably maybe the most interesting guy this offseason. He can't find a team. The 2015 MVP has played in a Super Bowl, has played at a high level for short spurts over the last 5 years. He's not on a football team right now. Some people say he should only accept a starting quarterback's position. Peter, do you think we start this NFL season with Cam Newton not on a roster?
If I'm Cam Newton, I'm not signing with anybody until I think that I'm going to have some control over the situation. Think of this offseason, and in Cam Newton's eyes, okay, he needs to be able to show and to talk to people, and he needs to be examined. Both his foot and his shoulder need to be examined by team doctors. He has not been able to do any of that. He hasn't been able to sit across the table from Bill Belichick or whatever coach it might be. And so to me, Jason, right now, I would not sign if I were him, because even if he went to New England, Bill Belichick is not saying to Cam Newton right now, even if he signs for $2 million or whatever, and the Patriots obviously are in cap jail right now. But Bill Belichick is not going to say, yep, you're my starting quarterback. I wouldn't do that if I'm Cam Newton. The only thing I do if I'm Cam Newton is I wait until the world is a little bit more normal. I can go in and talk to a coach, be on one-on-one footing, and find out exactly what my role is going to be. Why does he have to do that now? He doesn't. He'll have a lot more knowledge about this, and if he doesn't sign until September 20th, who cares? I would rather, if I were Cam Newton, be in the right situation than just be a backup, maybe, or not a sure starter for hardly any money, in May. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Can't imagine a world where we'll watch the NFL kick off a season and Cam Newton is not on a roster. Better yet, he should be a starter. But that's on circumstances, and I would think the NFL execs to find a way to make Cam Newton, this talented quarterback, a starter. But I put the onus also on Cam Newton, if that's not your reality, to accept a backup role just to get back on a team, on a roster, so you can impress those evaluators and get yourself going and hit the ground running again. So you can still impress and get opportunities even as a backup. No one raises their hand for that situation, but Cam Newton may be forced to that harsh reality. So I can't imagine it, but the closer we get to this season, you just got to wish for injury if you're Cam Newton. Other than that, he may be a backup.
Peter, help me understand, other than perhaps the Canadian Football League, where does Cam Newton have the leverage to sit down with anybody and say, these are the terms I'm willing to accept? Which teams out there does he have the most leverage with where he can dictate, I need to be a starter, I need to be in strong consideration to be your starter? I just don't see it.
There's only one, Jacksonville. And as we sit here right now, Jacksonville might be moving more toward Andy Dalton because they really want to give Gardner Minshew a shot. And look, if you're Cam Newton, it's like I said, Jason, you do not want to be in a situation where you sign in May to hold a clipboard in November. It makes no sense. It'd be all well and good if he signs in Jacksonville and everybody says, okay, well, now when the world is right on its axis, Cam Newton's going to beat out Gardner Minshew. We all could see that. But if the coach doesn't want him to beat out Gardner Minshew, then he's not going to beat out Gardner Minshew. So right now, we just don't know what the best situation is for him. And if I were him, just, you take the L this offseason, say it's the weirdest offseason in NFL history, and you basically say, I am only going somewhere where I can play. I'm not going somewhere to hold a clipboard.
I wouldn't go anywhere to hold a clipboard either. I love the fact that you pointed at the calendar and told him to exercise patience. You get in this situation for various reasons. I found myself latter part of my career in this same situation where, hey, Marcellus, you could come here, no guarantees, but let's see what you still have in the tank. And I think because of what's happened this offseason and because of the last two injury-riddled seasons for Cam Newton, he may find himself in that place. But that decision doesn't have to be made right now. And I still can't fathom that there will be a world where that much talent is sitting on the shelf and not on the football team.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.